you for the weekly 1 hour fluid mechanics 2 class. And in the last class, which was on I think Tuesday, this Tuesday, we started chapter number 8, which is basically viscous flow through pipes. So uh, in that we discussed about, if I quickly recap which we discussed. So that was, uh, first of all, we discussed about uh, what is the importance of pipe flows, what are the application areas, and then what is the laminar flow through pipe, transitional flow through pipe, and turbulent flow through pipe. And we discussed that it depends upon the Reynolds number value. If the Reynolds number value is less than 2100, then the flow would be laminar. Otherwise, if it is greater than 4100, then it would be turbulent, and in between these two ranges, it would be a transitional flow. So, and after that, we discussed about the concept of entrance region. So, whenever a flow enters a pipe, it takes some length of the pipe before it develops to fully developed flow. So, it means that we are talking about fully developed flow means that that the velocity of the particle along a streamline does not change. So that is the condition for the free development. And in the entrance region, there is some kind of flow velocity change along the streamline. So, and I also discussed the concept of boundary layer here. So then we discussed that how this entrance length changes with Reynolds number for the laminar flow and turbulent flow, and we were doing the and then we discussed the shear stress and pressure drop variation in entrance region and as well as in the fully developed region. So we discussed that in the entrance region the pressure drop is greater because the shear stress, wall shear stress is greater in the entrance region, and then it becomes uh, kind of a constant line in the constant slope line in the fully developed region. And then we discussed about the fully developed laminar flow by using fluid element analysis. So we discussed that how the pressure is, we discussed the relation between pressure drop and shear stress by equating the forces on a fluid element. So as we did the force balance in the last class, so we come up with this relation, delta P upon L is equal to 2 tau upon R. So this is the relation between pressure drop, which is delta P, and the shear stress, which is acting on a fluid element. And then we also discussed that how to get the value of shear stress in terms of wall shear stress. So wall shear stress is the shear stress which happens at the wall of this pipe. So that is more important to us because the drag force on the fluid element would be determined by the value of this wall shear stress. So tau is equal to 2 tau omega r upon d. And the last thing we discussed in the previous lecture, that how to relate delta p with the tau omega. Now for that we only need to put a tau value here in this equation. So that is somewhere that when we put that value on the whiteboard, we come up with the relation delta p is 4 tau omega L upon d. Now, we continue with our discussion. Up till now, we have correlated, if I can summarize it, that we have kind of found the relation of delta P with tau, and then tau relation with tau omega, and then the last one, delta P relation with tau omega. Okay. So these three relations we have discussed up to now, but one thing which is missing from here, that there is no velocity information. No velocity information or relation with tau or delta p. So we need to also incorporate the velocity information for the determination of delta p and CSS. So that is something which we will do in this class. So as we know that if it is a pipe flow, let me draw the figure here again. So this is center line. So this is this at R, this is center line, R is equal to 0, and then this is R is equal to capital R, and uh, and the velocity distribution in the fully developed laminar flow is something like this. So if we want to write the relation of shear stress with the velocity, so we know from our chapter number 1 that tau is equal to minus mu du upon dr. Usually in chapter number 2 we discussed that was something like this, mu into du upon dy, right? So this was the relation we discussed in for the when we discussed a Newtonian fluid and non-Newtonian fluid in chapter number 1. So here there is a minus sign. So this minus sign is put here because here the du by dr would always be a negative value, because at the center line if we see that there is a maximum value and then it reduces. So du by dr would always be a negative value. So we have put that minus sign just to make sure that tau has tau which is being shear stress which is being applied by this fluid element on this surface, that is always in a positive x direction. So that is why we have put this minus sign, just to because of the coordinate system we are using. So we know this relation. So and we also know the relation delta p upon L is equal to 2 tau upon R. From here we can get the value of tau. Tau would be equal to delta P into R divided by 2. So this is the value of tau. Now what we can do that we can put this value of tau into this relation here. So if we put that value here, we can write, so I am going to write this first here. So that would be minus mu into du by dr is equal to delta p upon 2l to r, and then I can further write it du by dr is equal to minus delta p upon 2 mu l r. Right, so why we are doing this? Because we want to know the relation of velocity with this pressure drop. So that's why we are using this relation of tau, which relates the shear stress with the velocity gradient in the radial direction. So the whole purpose of doing this exercise is to incorporate the velocity information or the velocity the pressure drop variation with the velocity in this. Because if we know the velocity, we can determine the volume flow rate, and then we can also correlate the volume flow rate with the pressure drop. Because we know that in the pipe pump cases, in many pumps where we buy pumps from the market, so in that they usually specify it in terms of power or the volume flow rate. So if we know the power and the volume flow rate, then we can easily determine the pressure drop in the which would be caused by that pump. So now, if we want to calculate velocity from here, so we need to do the integration. So first of all, write it we write it du. Now minus delta p upon 2 mu l, that would be a constant value, so we take it out of integration and r into dr, and then because if we integrate it, we can write u, which is function of r, that is equal to minus delta p upon, now r square, the integral of this would be r square by 2, so that 2 would be multiplied by here, so it would become 4 mu l. This is mu, this is viscosity, mu l r square plus c1. So it kind of tells us that this velocity profile is kind of quadratic function, or so we can see that, because we know that in the fully developed laminar pipe flow, the velocity profile is always kind of parabolic, which is a type of quadratic flow. So now we can just calculate the value of C1, because we have taken indefinite integral, so there is a constant appearing on the right hand side. So to determine that, we need the boundary condition. So the boundary condition would be that when we have got R is equal to capital R, when we talk about R is equal to capital R in this figure, we know that we are talking about the pipe surface. So we know that at the pipe surface, the velocity is equal to 0 due to no slip condition. So we can write that R is equal to capital R. We have got u u of R is equal to 0, because uh, maybe it should be u of capital R. So let me write it here. U of capital R, which is the pipe surface, that is 0. Why it is 0? Because of the no slip condition. Right. So if we put it here, uh, we can see 0 on the left hand side, and on the right hand side minus delta p upon 4 mu l capital R square plus C1. So from here we can calculate C1, which is equal to delta P upon 4 mu L upon R square. Now in the book they have written this. Okay, maybe you can either write it in the diameter. So if we replace it here, capital R with the capital D, then here it would be 16, because R square, usually R square is D square by 4, right? So if we write it in terms of D square, then it would be 16 mu L, and here it would be D square, right? So it's up to us that in which format we want to write, but because in the book they have also used this diameter, so I just thought that I should discuss that. So now, if we want to write the profile by putting the value of UR here, so U of R is equal to is equal to, now if I write it, it would be equal to delta P on 4 mu L R square minus delta P on 4 mu L R. No, this R, it is a variable. That small r, maybe I just kind of, this this small r, that is a variable which changes from 0 to capital R. So that is a variable like x, y, z. These are the coordinates which are variable. So similarly, this is small r, that is also a variable. So if we want to write it in a concise term, we can write that if we take this common delta p upon 4 mu l, then we can write u of r is equal to delta p upon 4 mu l, and then if we take r square as well common, then I can write 1 minus r upon r square. Right. So this is our velocity profile in terms of pressure drop. Right. So now we can also put because we know the relation of delta p with the wall shear stress, as we discussed in the last class. So that relation we derived in the last class, that was delta p was equal to 4 tau omega L divided by d. So if we put it here, then we can also write it in terms of uh, this in terms of delta p, in terms of tau omega. So let's do that here. So u of r would be equal to, instead of delta p, I am writing here 4 tau omega L upon d. Now here we have got r square, so I need to write it in diameter because there is diameter in this. So I am going to replace it with d square by 4 divided by 4 mu L 1 minus r upon r, right. So now if I do the simplification, this would be cancelled with 4 would be cancelled out, d square would be cancelled out with d. So in the end, I am left with u of r is equal to tau of omega, and then this length would be cancelled out with this length, tau omega into d divided by 4 mu 1 minus r upon r square. So these are the two relations. One is this and one is this one. These two relations tell us the relation of velocity with delta p. So here we have got the pressure drop, and here we have got the wall shear stress. So these are the two important parameters which we need to know in case of laminar pipe flow. So wall shear stress and delta p relation with the velocity profile. But velocity profile, because it is the function of radius, so that is not going to give us much information. So uh, it is better that we write it in terms of volume flow rate, because that is some one single value by which a pipe flow can be related with. That we can say that okay, in this pipe the the flow is happening at 1 meter cube per second. So that is some one numerical value with which that the flow can be associated. Because here u of r, that is kind of changing everywhere with the radius. So it means that we need to write to determine the relation of delta P and tau omega with Q, which is the volume flow rate. So for that we need to do the integration bit again. So if I show you the pipe from the side view, so it would be kind of a so this is the cross section. So this is the center, and we are this is radius r. So we take a strip here, which is of thickness dr. So this thickness is dr, and I would just highlight. So this thickness is dr. So if I want to calculate the volume flow rate through this strip, then I need to do the integration, because there would be some strip from r is equal to 0 to r is equal to capital R. Capital R is this. So I can write, if I want to calculate Q from the velocity information, I can write Q is equal to U into dA. dA, that is the area through which this flow is happening. So that is, I can write U of R into 2 pi r dr. 2 pi r is the circumference and dr is the thickness of this strip. This this ring type strip, that is of thickness dr, and the integration limits would be from 0 to capital R. So we are going to integrate all the volume flow rates through these strips from R is equal to 0, which is the center line, to R is equal to capital R, which is the outer pipe circle. So it means that we need to write these formulas here. So okay, so before we do that, one thing is more important here, that if we can write this relation, sorry, because we have written here u of r, can we get the what is our center line velocity? How can we get the center line velocity in this relation where this delta p is written? How can we determine the center line velocity? So because if I show you the schematic, the center line velocity would happen at r is equal to 0, right? So if I put r is equal to 0 in this relation, then I would get center line velocity. So let me get it from here. So if I put r is equal to 0, this term would become 1. So from here I can write v of center line, which is c means center line, that would be equal to delta p into r square on 4 mu s. Right? So this is our center line velocity, and then this relation can also be written in terms of instead of this, I can write it like this: U of r is equal to Vc into 1 minus r upon r square. So now you can see that that complex relation can be written in a very neat form, in which Vc is the center line velocity. So Now I am going to put this relation in the integration. This relation I am going to put in the integration. From here I can write from here that because that is 0 to r Vc 1 minus r square upon r square into 2 pi r dr. So Vc is the center line velocity. So I have just written it to write it in a concise form rather than writing that cumbersome form of having some delta p into some terms. So it was quite difficult to write. So I have written it in terms of center line velocity. So center line velocity is, by the way, the maximum velocity in pipe flow. So now I can take the constants out of integration, that is 2 pi would be out of integration. Vc, that is the center line velocity, that would also be out of integration, and then 0 to r 1 minus r on r square r square into r dr. So if we do the integration of this, we know that the first term would be r square by 2, and then the second term would be r raised to power 4 divided by r square, 4r square. And because we have limit 0 to r, so if we kind of simple do this bit, the integration, and try to find that what is the value, then it comes out to be 1 by 4 r square. So it is quite straightforward, as I have told you, that the first term would be r square by 2, limits 0 to r, and the second term would be r raised to power 4 divided by 4r square. So if we put the limits, we would get 1 by 4 r square. And if we subtract it, so let's roll it a little bit, and then from here we can say that 2 pi Vc into 1 by 4 1 by 1 by 4 r square. So now 4 goes with this 2 by 2, and I can write here that it would be pi r square Vc by 2. So now the relation of Q is pi r square Vc divided by 2. So you can see that now it is a little bit quite simplified relation in terms of center line velocity. Q is equal to pi r square Vc upon by 2. And if I want to calculate the mean velocity through the pipe, we know that mean velocity, the relation is from our thermodynamics knowledge, Q is equal to area through which it is flowing, and then the mean velocity. And in the book they haven't put m here, which would have simplified it, but here it is just the mean velocity, which is v. So if I want to calculate mean velocity from here, then V would be equal to Q upon area. Now, what is area here through which the flow is happening? That is pi r square, capital pi r square. That is the cross-sectional area cross-sectional area of the pipe. So if we put that value, so V would be equal to Q. Instead of Q, I am going to write this pi r square Vc upon 2, and then divided by pi r square. So this pi r square would be cancelled out with this, and it tells us that mean velocity is half of the center line velocity. So it means that if the center line velocity or the center line velocity is 20 feet per second, then the mean velocity of the pipe for that steady laminar fluid volume flow would be 10 feet per second, right? So now we have got this relation. So now that is something we have discussed, and then we can also write the volumetric flow rate here, Q in terms of Vc, but if we want to write it Vc in terms of delta P, we know that what is the relation of Vc and delta P, and we can write that because Vc is equal to delta P R square upon 4 mu L. That is something which we derived here, if you remember. uh, Vc is equal to delta P R square upon 4 mu L. I have written it here. Uh, let me this bit, right? So this is here. So now we can kind of here put that value. So if we put that value, then we see Q become equal to Q becomes equal to pi into, if I put that value R4 delta P on, and then here it would be 8 mu L, and then if I want to write it in terms of diameter, I can say that pi into D4 delta P upon 128 mu L. Now this relation tells you very important thing, three things which you need to know. One is that Q is directly proportional to delta P, right? We can see this. Q is directly proportional to delta P. It means that if we increase the volume flow rate, then the pressure drop would also increase along the pipe. Then the second thing it tells us that is Q is directly proportional to D4. It means that if we increase the pipe diameter by 2 times and keep other things constant, then the volume flow rate would be increased by 16 times, not twice but 16 times. And the third thing it tells us that Q is inversely proportional to mu, right? So if we increase the viscosity, then we would have the reduction in volume flow rate, which is understandable. Now you can see that we have been able to write a Q in terms of pressure and Q in terms of velocity and center line velocity by doing all this derivation, right? So let me show you quickly this on the lecture slides, just to recap which we discussed in today's lecture. So this was the lecture slide we covered in the last class, and then we also discussed in the last class that delta P can be written in terms of wall shear, but because we also need the information of relation between delta P and tau wall shear stress in terms of velocity, so we are incorporating the velocity by using the relation, and I have just told you in the beginning that this minus sign is due to the coordinate system we are choosing, because du upon dr would always be a negative value because it has got at the r is equal to 0 maximum value, so it would always be a negative value if we increase the r. So delta P upon N is equal to 2 tau upon R. So from here we put tau value, which would be equal to delta P into R divided by 2N. So and then if we uh, take mu on the left hand side, then do the integration bit, all the stuff which I have done on the whiteboard. So we would be able to get this value Vc is equal to u of r is equal to Vc1 minus r upon r, because this capital D is 2r. So we can write it like this, and also in terms of tau omega. And then for the determination of volume flow rate, we need to do the integration for a strip of ring type strip of the pipe section, and then that integration needs to be done from r is equal to 0 to capital R. So if we do that, if do in terms of center line velocity, that comes out to be pi r square upon 2 Vc, and then we can write it in terms of diameter and pressure drop. Uh, so that is the force power with the relation of Q with the diameter, and directly proportional to delta P and inversely proportional to mu and L. So this was the derivation we did for the horizontal pipes, right? So if the pipe is at an angle, so if that is an angle, then there would be a component of weight of that fluid element. So that is gamma L sine theta. So we can repeat this derivation again, and then there would be because theta is the angle which it makes the fluid element makes with the horizontal axis. So in that case, this gamma is specific weight, which we discussed in the FM1 also, if you remember gamma. So that is the additional term which is here due to that if it is inclined in an upward direction. If it is going down, then it would be positive. This would be plus. If it is in the downward direction, then it would be plus gamma L. If the pipe is inclined upward, then it would be minus gamma L. Right? So you can give it a try at your own time to derive this relation. So I think we have got uh, towards the end of the class. So if there is any query, anything you want to add, you can ask me now. Otherwise, uh, we can finish the lecture maybe in a couple of minutes. So please ask anything until I download the attendance. Thank you.